momentum we are creating here in Konza. And that is just the first. We will see more of investors coming to Konza so that we can be able to use this place as the engine for growth in not just this region but in our country. The success of Konza depends on enhanced collaboration between government, the private sector, academia, and our development partners. I acknowledge the support of the United States, Italy, China, and South Korea, among others, as well as the private sector and academia for their steadfast commitment. I also commend the county government of Machakos, Makueni, and Kajiado for their cooperation in developing the buffer zone plan around us. And I want to commend this great governor, gentlemen, for agreeing that we are going to keep this Technopolis as a smart city, and we are going to plan around it to make sure that we give room for it to be the excellent place that we want it to be. Beyond buildings and broadband, what excites me, what transformation taking shape here. Konza is creating thousands of jobs, internships, and innovation opportunities for our young people. More than 4,000 Kenyans have already been employed here, with 1,000 more expected by mid-2026 and 10,000 projected in light manufacturing alone. The average age of Kenya's workforce here is just 28 years, proof that this is the city of Kenya's next generation. Ladies and gentlemen, the government of Kenya reaffirms its full commitment to complete and operationalize Konza Technopolis. We will continue to mobilize resources, attract investors, and strengthen partnerships to make Konza Africa's smartest city and the heartbeat of the Silicon Savannah. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to say two final things. Na nataka niwashukuru sana watu wa Makueni na watu wa Ukambani. Vile mumesikia, mimi nimekuja hapa mara 5. Nilianza kukuja hapa 2014. Wakati nilikuja hapa 2014, hapa ni mahali kulikuwa na matope, hakukuwa na lami hata inchi moja, na kulikuwa na msitu mkubwa. Watu wengi siku hiyo, wakati tulikuja kuanzisha hii mpango, waliona kama sisi ni wazimu. Hawakuamini ya kwamba siku moja yale tulikuwa tunasema ya kwamba hapa kutakuwa na mji ama city kubwa, smart city, inawezekana. Leo mimi nimekuja hapa nikiwa na furaha nyingi kwamba yale tulisema yatatendeka 2014 sasa tunayaona kwa macho. City ndio hii. Horizontal infrastructure imekamilika, ndio tumekuja kuianzisha leo. Hapa tuko na university. It is going to be among the best universities in Kenya. Hiyo inaitwa KAIS hapo. Hapa sasa tuko na mambo mengi ambayo ni ya first world. Hapa pia tutakuwa na affordable housing, kuhakikisha kwamba wale ambao watafanya kazi katika city ya Konza watakuwa na makao hapa, and they will also have smart homes hapa Konza, na itakuwa katika ile bei ya kawaida ya affordable housing. Hiyo mpango yote ambayo tunafanya, tumekubaliana vile nimesema, barabara uweze kupanua iwe dual carriageway kutoka junction pale ya Machakos mpaka Emali. Pia na tulete maji kutoka kule Kilimanjaro ije moja kwa moja mpaka mji huu. Na mji huu itakuwa ni mahali ambapo wananchi watapata ajira. Vile nimewaeleza, kufikia mapema mwaka ujao tayari vijana 5,000 watafanya kazi katika factory ambayo inajengwa katika town hii ya Konza City. Na haiwezi kusimama hapo. Hiyo ni investor mmoja. Tukienda mbele tunatarajia kwamba watu kama kazi kati ya 10,000 na 20,000 nafasi ya ajira itapatikana katika mji huu. Na mmesikia tayari ya kwamba kwa wale wanaofanya kazi Konza Technopolis, average age yao ni miaka 28. Kumaanisha hii itakuwa city ya vijana. Hapa ndio vijana watapata ajira na watasongesha mambo ya maisha yao mbele. Nimesikia yale viongozi wameongea hapa. Viongozi wameongea juu ya tuwe na barabara, tuunganishe reli, tujenge airport. Si ndio? Pia wamesema tulete maji, pia wamesema tupange mambo mengine ambayo yatatusaidia kufanya mji huu kuwa ni mji ambao ni wa kisasa. And that is the trend everywhere in Kenya. Is that we want more infrastructure. We want better delivery of water. We want a much more sustainable country in terms of food security. Everywhere in Kenya, we are also discussing about power. How do we deliver power to our homes? How do we have sufficient power to drive our transformation? And this is a conversation that we have been having as a country. I have had this conversation with many members of parliament in the Senate and the National Assembly. I have had this conversation with many leaders around Kenya, that it is time as a nation that there are three fundamental things that we must do, because it's time for us to move Kenya from being a third world country to a first world country. And I want you people to listen to me very carefully, because this is the moment, this is the generation, and this is the opportunity for us to move this country to the next level. We must do three things. Number one, we do not have enough energy. We do not have enough electricity to transform our nation. Today, we have only 2,300 megawatts. On peak hours, we actually do not have enough power. Therefore, even as we bring more industries, even as we bring more manufacturing capability, and we are doing it just here in Konza, you've heard there will be 5,000 people working here. I was in Vipingo. We're going to have another 10,000 people working there. They need more energy. We are going to be opening shortly Dongokundu. And when we finish in Dongokundu, which is just before December this year, we will go to the industrial city in Nakuru. And we have many county aggregation industrial parks. And we have other special economic zones that we are developing, because manufacturing is the next frontier and industrialization for export is the next frontier. But we cannot achieve that if we do not generate and distribute more energy. We therefore, as a country, urgently, within the next 5 to 7 years, we need 10,000 megawatts of energy as a matter of urgency if we have to move Kenya to the next level. That is number one. To generate 10,000 megawatts of energy, we need something like 1 trillion shillings. It's not a lot of money. We can find it. Number two, we also need to stop importing food into Kenya. As I talk to you, we are spending 500 billion shillings every year to import food into Kenya. Edible oil, wheat, rice, sugar, maize sometimes. And we have done well to stabilize the food security situation in Kenya. But it is not enough. We have just laid the foundation. Yes, we are producing more maize because of good rains and because we have deployed fertilizer, we have removed cartels, we have chased those brokers from the supply chains, and we are producing more maize. We produced almost 25 million bags more last year. We are producing more tea, we are producing more coffee, better prices, but that is not enough. We need to stop importing food to Kenya. We need to save that 500 billion we are importing from to Kenya. How do we do it? We've almost exhausted land under rain-fed agriculture. We now must move to the next level and go to irrigation. We need to build 50 mega dams like Thwake, so that we can irrigate 2 million acres. It will not only provide us with food security in Kenya, but it will now give us products for us to export to all the markets that we have negotiated. Negotiated a market in Africa Continental Free Trade Area, 1.4 billion people. Negotiated a market with the EU, 420 million people with very high spending power. We are not using much of it. We have negotiated a market under AGOA with America, huge market. We are not making much of it. We've just concluded conversations with China on them opening their 1.3, 1.4 billion people market for Kenyan products. We need to generate those products from our farms, and irrigation is the next level, and we need to spend at least 1.5 trillion to do another 50 mega dams so that we can put another 2 million acres under irrigation. You're seeing what we are beginning in Galana. That is just a tip of the iceberg. We need to do that across Kenya. That is the next frontier. That is the next thing we must do for us to move Kenya to the first world. And then number three, just to give you 3 examples, we need to build more infrastructure. Roads, rail, airport. You people have talked about both, all of them here. You've talked about roads, you've talked about rail, you've talked about airport, right? That is what we need to do in Kenya. Today, we don't have an airport. We have a makeshift something on the runway in Jomo Kenyatta. And we are busy with a conversation. Oh yes, oh I don't know who, what, where. You know, useless conversation. We need to be serious. We need to do more infrastructure. Junior here has told us how Mombasa Road is a death trap. The number of accidents in Mombasa Road and across the country. We need to do minimum 1,000 kilometers of dual carriageway around Kenya. And we need to do another to Uganda. We need to expand more rail infrastructure. We need to do an airport in JKA and possibly an airport here in Konza. We need to expand our airport infrastructure. We need close to 1.5 trillion to be able to achieve that. So we must, good people, we must up our game. We must raise the bar. We must up our standard. We cannot continue to think about small things. And let me conclude by saying, where do we find the money to do this? Yes, we have what it takes to have the resources to do this within Kenya. Putting together resources from our budget, building resources from our private sector, putting together resources from our privatization, we will be able to create a big pool of resources that we can use in an innovative manner, like all other countries have done, if we put it together under a national infrastructure fund. And shortly, we will be taking to Parliament the law to establish a national infrastructure fund that is going to help us to achieve these 3 objectives: 10,000 kilometers of power, expand our road infrastructure, 1,000 kilometers of dual carriageway around Kenya, 10,000 kilometers of tarmac around Kenya, make sure that we have a good airport, and make sure that we have what it takes to do it, and expand our rail infrastructure to where we want it to get, especially our products. And number 3, to generate sufficient water from 50 mega dams around Kenya that will generate for us at least 2,000 megawatts and also enable us to do 2 million acres extra of land under irrigation. That is how we are going to move this country into the future. And we can do it in our lifetime, as I have said. All these things we have done. Korea, they are sitting here to us, they did it. Korea was exactly like Kenya. This Korea you see here was exactly like Kenya in 1963. Tulikuwa sawa na hawa watu wa Korea 1963. GDP yetu ilikuwa sawa. Wao ni watu wa kilimo kama sisi. Lakini leo uchumi ya Korea ni 20 times that of Kenya. Munaona iko makosa mahali fulani? Yes. We must ask ourselves, what did Korea sasa just imagine. Watu tulikuwa sawa 1963. Saa hii tunaenda kwao kukopa pesa. Just imagine. Iko shida ama hakuna shida hii Kenya? Please. Tafadhali na waomba wa Kenya wenzangu. Tukubaliane tubadilishe hii nchi. Tuache siasa ndogo ambaye haitusaidii. Siasa ya ukabila, siasa ya chuki, siasa ya kugawanya watu, siasa hiyo. Watu wengi hawa ambao wanazurura kutusumbua, wanatusumbua kwa maduka huko, wanaongea mambo ya ovyo. Hakuna kitu wanaongea. You know? Ama namna gani? So, tafadhali, mimi nawaomba. Viongozi sisi wote, tuamini Mungu. Na tujiamini wenyewe. Na tuamini taifa letu la Kenya. Tunaweza kuibadilisha hii taifa, sisi wote tukiweko. Sijui kama tunaelewana jameni. Hakuna haja hii ugomvi kidogo kidogo. Kama wewe ni kiongozi na uko na sera na mpango tofauti bora kuliko hii yetu, tueleze. Usiseme ati mpango yako ni kuja kuondoa affordable housing. Sasa hiyo ni ujinga. You know, think if William Ruto wants to do a million house or 3 million, don't tell us you are going to bring down what William Ruto is doing. That is stupidity. Ama na magani jameni. Na sitaki kusema sana mambo hii ya siasa, lakini leo tumekuja hapa kwa hiyo mpango. And that is why I must tell you that we want to pull together. Uliza viongozi wote. Kwa mfano, tuko na mpango ambayo tumeweka inaitwa Nyota. Tumeketi chini na tumekubaliana hii ni mpango ya serikali. Wametupatia loan. Wasikia watu wengine wanasema ati ni project ya World Bank. Project ya World Bank gani? Mtu akupatia benki kupatia pesa uende ujenge nyumba, hiyo nyumba ni ya So nashukuru sana ndugu zetu wa World Bank wamefacilitate. Wametupatia shilingi bilioni 20 ili vijana 1850 wa Kenya wapate nafasi number 1 ya kuwa kwa biashara. Wale wote ambao wako katika ecosystem ya AKBO, wale wanataka kufanya biashara na serikali, tuwafanyie training na tuwapange vizuri. Number 2, wale vijana ambao hawajawahi kwenda college mahali popote, pia tuwasaidie waweze kufanya internship na waweze kufundishwa, tuwaweke under master craftsmen ili waweze kupata skills. Ya 3, wale vijana ambao wamepata skills kufanya kazi lakini hawana certification, tutawasaidia katika ile inaitwa recognition of prior learning. Alafu kufikia Ijumaa wiki hii Friday, mimi nawauliza viongozi wote, kufikia Friday wabunge watusaidie, mpaka MCS watusaidie. Friday hii tunataka kuchuja vijana 1,100 Kenya on Friday, ambayo kila kijana tutampatia 50,000. Hiyo itakuwa shilingi bilioni 5. Wako na biashara ndogo ndogo waweze kuinua biashara yao on Friday. So I want to ask all of us as leaders, let us rally together on matters that matter to this country, on matters that matter to the young people of our nation. It is not necessary for us to look at our young people as if they are saying anything. They are young people. The young people of Kenya have a point. They are tired of mediocrity. of small thinking, of the usual, of the average. They want us to up our game so that we can create opportunities for them to go into the future and to make their contribution to the development of our nation. So, fellow leaders, I really want to persuade you that let us look at, this is not about political parties. This is about the young people of Kenya. Let us focus and let us work with them. Mimi nataka niwashukuru sana wananchi wa hapa. Poleni, nilishangaa sana, kumbe tungeanza na kuzungumza hapa ndio muende zeni nyumbani ndio tuende tufanye ile kazi nyingine. Mumengoja sana na nilikuwa nauliza hawa viongozi si hawa wananchi tumewakosea. Lakini najua kuna maneno watafanya hivyo. Asante.